Today I am talking to three ladies, and they are going to tell me how the world has differed since they were younger.
Hi, I'm Marie Gibson.
I'm Andrea Bob.
And I'm Natalie James.
Let's revisit your high school years. How have schools, education, and students or kids differed today from when you were a student and interacting with your friends?
I'll answer that. Um, Back when I was growing up, which was a long time ago, they didn't have a level of technology that they do now. There was not there wasn't cell phone usage in classrooms or pretty much anyone on their cell phones because they didn't exist. It was such a thing as pagers and maybe two-ways or whatever you want to call that. But there was, the level of technology wasn't as advanced as it was. There wasn't a computer in every home. There wasn't cable per se, to whereas it's AT&T Universe or Netflix or online watching of TV shows. Just technology wasn't as the focus point of teenagers back in my day. So it wasn't, it was, we still had things that were, how can I say, advanced, but technology wasn't as important as it is now. You can't get a kid without a cell phone. Everyone has a cell phone. Everyone has some type of electronic device besides a cell phone, at least one or two, whether it be a desktop at home, a laptop, Xbox, those type of things. So that's what's different from back then than it is now.
Okay, very good, thank you. What seems to be or what plays a big factor in today's youth or students in their everyday life that did not when you were a student in high school back then?
I'll take it. As Ms. Gibson indicated, back when I was growing up and in high school, we didn't all have cell phones. Although we did have technology, I was in a program that was a computer science program actually, where we did have access to computers. And back in the day, we had these big monstrosities that we used, nowhere near to the slim models that we use now. And we had the advantage of learning several different types of programming languages. At the time, I didn't know how fortunate I was because I could have graduated from high school and wrote programs for people, and I wasn't aware of that. I just took it as, oh, everybody's doing this. So technology really played a large part in my education as far as high school was concerned, but it was only for a specific population. It wasn't for all of the entire school. The program was called Summit, and it was actually identified for those students who could excel and be in advanced classes, and it really worked well. It really did.
Thank you. With that being said, what do you think are the pros and cons of the integration and advancement of technology into today's schools and classrooms?
Well, one of the big pros, I think, of integration into the classroom is having access immediately to information. I think that is one of the biggest things that I see as far as the technology is concerned. It's being able to access immediately a question that needs to be answered. Students can go to their cell phones, to the internet. They can go to any type of computer and pull that information up as quickly as possible. Versus back when we were going to school, you had to go to a book, an encyclopedia. You had to go to a library to find that information. Or you either had to ask someone to help you with that information versus what they can do on their own now.
Right, and that goes as far as teachers as well, as far as those lesson planning and even the delivery of instruction. The access to the internet really plays a major role as far as ramping up the way you instruct the kids and actually getting the message across in a more clear and succinct manner.
Very insightful, thank you. How is technology in your school when you were growing up similar to the technology available to students now?
I'll take that because, as I was telling Ms. Bob and Ms. James, in my school, and I went to private school, I didn't have the same technology Ms. Bob had, and we're pretty much close in age. However, she said she was in a special program. I feel as though because the environment that I was in, they should have had that type of technology. It should have been affordable. We had the most computer usage that we had was maybe 1 or 2 that was stationed in the typewriter lab. We had great typewriters, IBM with state-of-the-art correction and
Yeah, back then,
backspacing.
that was the thing.
That was the thing. But I think they lacked on the technology, and we probably could have been. How can I say? We could have used those resources in that environment maximize that with the students in that type of environment, small classroom sizes. Curriculum was not anywhere near here or any type of mandated to whereas we could have been free. We could have learned and been able to been engaged by our teachers on a different level if we had that technology like Ms. Bob had.
Thank you. With that being said, do you believe that if the high school that you attended would have had computers available for each student, that your generation would be more tech savvy and the world, or rather U.S., be further advanced in everyday technology than it is now?
I would say yes, because
I would
knowing
too. I would too.
knowing the advantages that I had being in the program that I was in, we almost felt bad that everybody else didn't have access to the same type of technology. And even looking at our students today, when it comes down to differentiating instruction, if you have it where you're doing a student-teacher type of setting, and then you have the kids who can go on by themselves, the advanced kids, and then those kids that still needs more foundational help, they have access to the computers, and there's a wealth of computer programs and excuse me, online activities, tutorials that they can really utilize to get them up to where they need to be. So the use of computers by every student would be ideal, and I think you would definitely see an increase in the foundational structure of each kid and them being able to elevate more so than you would if you would just have the teacher instruction.
Yes.
Because it really makes a difference. Sometimes kids get it from another kid. Sometimes kids get it from the tutorial. The man might or the woman might be saying the same thing that you're saying,
Yes.
but they hear it from someone else, and boom, the aha moment, a light clicks on. So it's a possibility that I think would definitely be beneficial.
Thank you. What do you think would happen if you were to travel back in time to your senior year in high school one day with a laptop, iPad, or MacBook? What would be the reaction and the outcomes?
I would be top dog.
Yes.
I would be
I would
top
be
dog.
really,
Everybody would want to be hanging out with me because we'd be on all types of sites. There is so much stuff to do, especially like on the iPad, because my interviewee, she is Apple's prime promoter, and she shows you all these different things, and there's so much you can do, not just with classroom rights, other ways to broaden your mind. So if I was to go back, especially in my setting, and replace a typewriter with a hard key that you hit and you hear all this noise like it moves mountains, to go back to an iPad, or you could just touch a touch screen and you could type out messages and not hear a noise, or you could backspace and not have to worry about using that correction tape that you had to put through on top of a piece of film and stick it inside the typewriter. I mean, there are so many things that I think so many possibilities that will open up that would change the face of actual education, especially where I came from in Louisiana, which is low on the totem pole,
Even
right?
in teaching in high school,
Yes.
going back to the kids being able to, you can even become the teacher basically.
Yes.
Right.
With an
Yes.
iPad or with a computer or
Yes.
something like that,
Yes.
because then it would be so many things that you would be able to show the other kids and the others, even the other teachers in the
Yeah.
classroom, that you could utilize based on.
It could
these
become
computers.
student driven. It's
Right.
like, ownership. That's where you can take that ownership if you have
That
better
type of technology just opens up it's a portal to the rest of the world.
Yes.
Yes.
You can go to the cyber classes. I'm not sure if that's the correct name they call it, but you can be in somebody's class that's in Singapore or
Yes.
somewhere in Japan or China, and it really provides a worldview to some students who might not ever get the opportunity to
You don't
view.
even have to go to China, just another class in the U.S.
Right.
You can actually
Right.
interact with another class
Class in the US.
different,
Right.
content
So
or
it
whatever.
really is a great tool that if you really know how to use it, you can really be successful in it. I mean, admittedly, my level of knowledge as far as how to really integrate it is maybe midway between beginner and intermediate, and I
Right.
feel as though if I'm taught well enough that I could really be that awesome teacher that really opens up eyes and minds of every student.
I'm pro for technology in the classroom. I believe that textbooks are obsolete.
Yes.
And I think that every school should at least be breaching upon that, if not so much cost, just the thought of where the kids are and where they're going to go into their future and how they can play a part. And if you're integrating it in, it's not you forcing it down their throat, it's like coming natural at them at that point.
Because this is what the world is around us.
Because I remember when I was in school, we had pen pals.
Mhm.
You
Yes,
remember
yes.
writing to people?
Yeah.
Yes.
When you were in school, we used to write to people. In English class, we had to write our letters to these people that were in other countries. And now just to think if you could get on a computer, hit a button, and
And
you
you
pull
can
that
Skype
person up
them,
and you can
yeah.
Skype them, and you can see that person. So that's something that would be totally mind-boggling to
Yes.
some students who
Yes.
can, to be able to talk to someone in another country just at the push of a button.